Now, in a recent video, I explained something that often surprises parents. Alphabet order and reading order are not the same thing. The alphabet organizes letters, but reading develops through patterns of sounds working together. Now, that idea helps many families understand why teaching letter sounds strictly in alphabetical order does not present an ideal sequence of letters needed to form as many words as possible in the shortest amount of time. But after that video, the questions kept pouring in. If alphabetical order isn't the best way to introduce letter sounds for reading, does that mean learning the alphabet itself isn't important? And the answer is very simple. Learning letter names is not the problem. In fact, letter names can be extremely helpful. What matters is how that knowledge is used during reading instruction. So today I want to explore how this will all come together for you, because understanding it will give you the confidence to guide your child on their reading journey with outstanding results, knowing that all these little moving parts will be lined up just right. Now, the alphabet is one of the most elegant systems humans have created. It gives us a way to represent spoken language visually. It's allowed us to preserve entire cultures. In fact, letters serve several purposes at once. They help us organize written language, refer to symbols clearly, talk about spelling, and learn how words are constructed. Imagine trying to explain spelling without letter names. If I asked you how to spell the word cat, you wouldn't respond with sounds alone. You'd say, yeah, cat. C-A-T, cat. Now picture this embarrassing moment. It's second grade. New student comes to class. The teacher asks him to stand up, introduce himself, and spell his name out loud. Hi, I'm Jasper. J-A-S-P-R. Now, will he make it to recess time with his dignity intact? One can only hope. Kids can be cruel. Now, letter names provide a stable reference point for talking about written language. And for children, this stability is super valuable. A letter name stays consistent even when the sound it represents may change depending on the word. That consistency helps anchor a child's understanding of the alphabetic system. 26 letters that aren't changing anytime soon. Now that's nice solid ground to work from. The way I've helped my kinder students understand this concept is by referring to the animal kingdom. Each species has a name: dog, cat, rooster, and so on. Now this cat will always be a cat. That doesn't change. But the same cat might meow for attention, purr when rubbed under his chin, or growl because, for some reason, he hates our plumber. But letter-sound relationships are very much the same. For instance, the third letter of our alphabet is called C, and that doesn't change even when it's used to sound out the soft C in circle or the hard C in cake. Oftentimes, a teacher holds up a flashcard, and it's quick and easy. What letter is this? It's K. What sound does it make? K. Now, over the years, some educators have wondered whether letter names might confuse children learning to read. Occasionally that can happen. A child might hear the name of the letter W and assume a word starting with that letter begins with a D sound because the name begins with double. But when researchers look more closely at how children actually learn letters and sounds, a different pattern often appears. In many cases, letter name knowledge actually helps children learn letter sounds more easily. Why? Because in English, the name of many letters contains a clue to their sound. Now think about it with letters like B, D, P, and T. The sound is embedded directly in the name. With each of those letters, you can simply remove the long vowel E sound on the end, and you're left with the pure sound. You can easily blend into words. When the letter P, for instance, loses the E, what's left is the simple P sound. Now, sometimes we chop off the front end, like the short vowel E sound in the letter L, leaving us with L. When children already know those names, learning the sounds often becomes easier, especially when all you need to do is trim off extra sounds before or after to reveal the pure sound. In other words, letter names can act like a bridge, helping children connect printed symbols to spoken language. Now, think about this for a moment. In many homes, children learn some or even all their letter names long before formal reading education begins. Now, alphabet puzzles, wooden blocks, magnetic fridge letters, the alphabet song, all those introduce letter names in colorful and imaginative ways. So when children arrive at school or begin learning with mom and dad at home, Well, they may already recognize several letters by name. Now, that existing knowledge becomes something we can build on. The brain uses what it already knows to make sense of new information. Now, this brings us back to the key point from the earlier video. Knowing letter names is helpful, but introducing reading strictly through alphabetical order can still create big challenges. Not because the letters themselves are wrong, but because alphabetical order doesn't prioritize useful word building. For example, if a child learns the first 6 letters, A, B, C, D, E first, it may still take quite a while before those letters combine into simple, child-friendly, readable words. Reading begins to feel more abstract than it already is. But when instruction introduces letters that combine quickly into real words, children experience success much earlier. They see language forming, and that early success builds motivation. So the goal is not to avoid the alphabet. The goal is simply to make sure that reading instruction focuses on how letters work together in words. In other words, introduce the alphabet letters that appear most often in print first. Letters like S, A, T, P, I, N, and M. Now, for parents especially, letter names can be incredibly useful. They allow you to talk about letters clearly during reading. Now, you might say, well, that word starts with the letter M. Or let's look at the last letter. That's a T. What sound does T make? Now, your question confirms they still recognize the letter name and can map it to a sound at the same time. It's a little more productive than simply pointing to letters and saying, what sound does this make? What sound does that make? This also allows children to separate 2 important ideas: the identity of the letters and the sound it represents in a word. Both pieces of knowledge support reading development. So what approach tends to work the best? Well, for many families, a balanced approach works beautifully. Children learn the names of the letters as part of their general alphabet knowledge. At the same time, reading instruction focuses on letter sounds and how those sounds combine to form words. If we can get a head start with knowing letter names first, this provides a stable reference point as we slowly map sounds to each letter in an order that allows your child to read their first words within a few lessons. Yes, you heard that right. Instead of competing with each other, the 2 types of knowledge work together. Now, if you've been teaching your child the alphabet, singing the alphabet song, or practicing letter names, you're not doing anything wrong. That's awesome. Keep up the good work. You're building useful background knowledge this whole time. Now, let me take this opportunity to compliment your fine efforts with a free alphabet workbook I put together that will help your child master all their letter names in a fun and interactive way. The link is in the description below. Now, your child has been staring at those mysterious lines and squiggles from the day they opened their first book. Now they are recognizing most of those shapes as letters from our alphabet. This is an exciting time for your child. Soon, the mystery will turn to wonder as they learn the sounds those letters can make and start to decode their first words. This is an incredible journey you and your child can experience together. See, teaching your child to read is easier than you ever imagined. Now, my reason for being here is to prove that to every mom and dad who's willing to give it a shot. Now, you're the perfect candidate for the job. All you need is the right tools and a system that is a joy to teach from. Stick around. There's a lot more to come. Stay wonderful, and I'll see you again soon.